Sister Sangamita, will you do the beginning? The welcome and the introduction?
Hello, sister. Sister, are you here?
Yes, we are live now. Will you start, please?
Please, sister, you start. I'm going to hear because the weather is not good here. So I will be disconnect sometime. So please carry on.
Start, Sister Sangamita.
Yes, sister, please.
No, you start.
Oh, yeah, my connection is not good. Just please start it.
Okay, fine. I'll start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome to Fundamentals of Buddhism, a free e-course being offered by Dhamma USA, based in California, under the guidance of Venerable Bhante Sumedh. Today's topic is Sutta study. We are going to start with study of the Vasala Sutta. I will share my screen and bring it up. The Vasala Sutta means the discourse on the outcasts. We see a picture of the Buddha giving a discourse to the Brahmin Adhyaka Bharadwaj. How the Brahmin is prostrating before the Supreme Buddha. The Vasala Sutta means the discourse on the outcasts. It is taken from the chapter of the serpent from the Sutta Nipata. Vasala Sutta refers to the Suttant on outcast. Outcast मतलब जिनको समाज से या किसी भी ग्रुप से बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है. Note that Vasala Sutta is a Pali compound consisting of the words Vasala and Sutta. Let us begin with an introduction to the Vasala Sutta. The discourse on outcasts is a discourse delivered by the Lord Gautam Buddha, and it is recorded in the collection of the minor discourses of the Buddha. The collection of minor discourses called the Khudak Nikaya consists of 15 books, और इसकी 5th या 5वीं book है Sutta Nipata. The Sutta Nipata contains the Buddha's discourses that were presented mainly in verse form, jabki there are a few in mixed prose and verse. The Sutta Nipata also contains several other discourses, जैसे कि Mahamangal Sutta, Great Discourse on Blessing, जो हम कर चुके हैं, Ratan Sutta, Jewel Discourse, Karaniya Metta Sutta, Discourse on Loving Kindness, and Parabhav Sutta. और तो वसल सूत्र के बाद हम पराभाव सूत्र भी करेंगे, Discourse on Downfall, which are widely known and popular among the Buddhists in the Theravada Buddhist countries. The Vasala Sutta is the 7th discourse in the Sutta Nipata. Along with the above discourses, it is one of the 24 discourses included in the Book of Protection, जिसको परित भी बोलते हैं, that is kept in most Buddhist houses in Theravada countries, such as Sri Lanka and Burma. Burma is now Myanmar. They are recited mainly by Buddhist monks seeking protection for the disciples from illness and other dangers, and also on special occasions. The Pali word vassal, इसका मतलब है outcast, a wretch or a person of low birth, नीच जाति, नीच कुल का. It was quite denigrating in that society to call someone by that name. जिस समय ये सूत्र लिखा गया था या कहा गया था, बहुत शर्म की बात थी, अपमानजनक बात थी किसी को वसल कहना. One day, when the Buddha was called an outcast by an angry Brahmin, the Buddha took that opportunity to describe the characteristics of an outcast, which are recorded in the Vasala Sutta. Brahmin का नाम था अज्ञिक भारद्वाज. अज्ञिक का मतलब है fire या आग, as he was a worshipper of the fire god. अग्नि देव के पुजारी थे. Hence, this discourse is also known as the Ajnaka Bharadwaj Sutta in the Buddhist scriptures. Vasala Sutta का place, time and to whom कहा गया था, ये देखते हैं. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living near Savatthi at Jetavan at Anathapindik's monastery. Then in the forenoon, the Blessed One, having dressed himself, took bowl and double robe and entered the city of Savatthi for alms. Now at that time, a fire was burning, एक आग जल रही थी, and an offering was being prepared in the house of the Brahmin Ajnaka Bharadwaj for Brahma. Then the Blessed One, while on his alms round, Pindapat pe the, came to the Brahmin's residence. The Brahmin, seeing the Blessed One some way off, he thinks it a bad omen. वो सोचते हैं कि ये बदशुगनी है. And said this angrily. और बहुत क्रोध में आके कहा, stay there, you shaveling. Stay there, you wretched monk. Stay there, you outcast. When he spoke thus, the Blessed One said to the Brahmin, do you know, Brahman, who an outcast is and what the conditions are that make an outcast? No, indeed, Venerable Gautam, I do not know who an outcast is, nor the conditions that make an outcast. It is good if Venerable Gautam were to explain the Dhamma to me, so that I may know who an outcast is and what the conditions are that make an outcast. Contents of the Vasala Sutta. इस सूत्र में क्या है? क्यों ये सूत्र इतना important है? The sutta begins with the background to the sutta in prose, as narrated by Arhant Anand at the first Buddhist council held 3 months after the passing away parinibbana of the Buddha. At the Buddhist council, Arhant Anand narrated all the discourses delivered by the Buddha, and each discourse begins with the phrase Evam me suttam, meaning thus have I heard. The background story in prose is followed by 27 verses, most of them stating the characteristics of an outcast as stated by the Buddha. Finally, it gives the outcome of the meeting between the Buddha and the Brahmin, again in prose. The whole of the sutta is in the Pali language, which is believed to have been the spoken language in the region of India, where the Lord Gautam Buddha lived and preached in the 6th and 5th century BC. Let us begin studying this important discourse, Vasala Sutta, the discourse on the outcast. Evam me suttam, ekam samayam bhagava savatyam viharati, jetavane anathapindikas arame. Athako bhagava pobanha samayam nivasetva pattachivaramādaya savatyam pindaya pavisi. Tena khopan samayena Ajnaka Bharadwajasa Brahmanasa Nivesane Aggi पज्जलितो होती आहुति पग्गहिता अथ को भगवा सावत्यम सपदानम पिंडाय चरमानो येन अज्ञिक भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य निवेशनम तेन उपसंकमे. Thus it has been heard by me. वेनरेबल अरहंत आनंद ने जो भी भगवान बुद्ध से सुना था वो रिपीट कर रहे थे, इसलिए उन्होंने कहा एवं मे सुतम, thus it has been heard by me. Once upon a time the Lord was sojourning, घूम रहे थे in Savatthi at Jeta's grove in Anathapindik's park. Then indeed the Lord in the forenoon, दोपहर से पहले, having dressed and taking his bowl and robe, entered Savatthi for his meals. And at that time, indeed, in the abode of the Brahman Agyik Bhardwaj, fire had been kindled. अग्नि को प्रज्वलित किया गया था, and the oblation started. और जो आहुति अग्नि में देते हैं हिंदू, वो शुरू हो गई थी. Then indeed the Lord, while walking in Savatthi for his meals from house to house, approached where the abode of the Brahman Agyik Bhardwaj was. पाली का पाठ है, ये आप पीडीएफ में पढ़ लीजिएगा. Indeed, the Brahman Agyik Bhardwaj saw the Lord coming from afar. Having seen, he spoke to the Lord thus: bald head, जिसका सर गंजा हो, stay there. Recluse, stay there. Outcast, stay there. When it was said thus, the Lord spoke to the Brahman Agyik Bhardwaj thus: O Brahman, do you know who an outcast is, or what qualities make an outcast? I indeed do not know, Venerable Gautam, who an outcast is, or the qualities that make an outcast. It is good that the Venerable Gautam preached to me, so that I could know who an outcast is, or what qualities make an outcast. Then indeed, O Brahman, listen and keep well in mind. I shall say, yes, sir, replied the Brahman Agyik Bhardwaj to the Lord. The Lord spoke thus: Bhagwa etat voce. Koduno upanahi cha papamakhi cha yo naro vipanna dithi mayavi tamajjana vasalo iti. Angry and hostile, evil and hypocritical in nature, if a man is failing in right vision, if he is deceitful, know him as an outcast. वो है वसल. एक जम्वा द्विजम वापी योद पानानि हिंसति यस पाने दया नथि tamajjana vasalo iti. Once born or twice born, here living beings, if one hurts in whom there is no love for living beings, know him as an outcast. Yo hanti parirundhati gamani nigamani cha nigahako samanyato tamajjana vasalo iti. He who destroys and besieges villages and suburbs is known as an agitator. Know him as an outcast. Game va yadi varanye yam pare samya ma yitam theya adinna ma diyati tamajjana vasalo iti. In the village or in the jungle, whatever belongs to others, through theft one takes what is not given. Know him as an outcast. Yo have in madaya chujjamano palayati nahi te inamathiti tamajjana vasalo iti. Who indeed taking a loan, being blamed, runs away, saying, there is no loan due to you, know him as an outcast. Yo ve kinchik kamyata pantha simvat jata janam hantva kinchik ma deti tam jana vasalo iti. He indeed, desirous of taking something by force on the road frequented by people, having killed people, takes whatever, know him as an outcast. Yo at hetu par hetu, dhan hetu chayo naro, sakhi puttho musa bruti, tam jana vasalo iti. Who for one's gain or the gain of others or for the acquisition of wealth, that man, when called to bear witness, speaks untruth. Know him as an outcast. Yo Nyati nam sakha namva daresu pate dissati sahasa sampiyenava tam jana vasalo iti. Who, either of relatives or of friends among wives, is seen, that is, commits adultery, either by force or by agreement of each other, know him as an outcast. Yo mataramba, pitaramba, jinnakam gata yobanam, pahu santo na bharati, tam jana vasalo iti. Who, mother or father, old, youth gone, having much wealth, does not maintain, know him as an outcast. Yo mataramba, pitaramba, bhataramba, gini, sasum, hanti roseti vachaya, tam jana vasalo iti. Who, mother or father, brother, sister, mother or father-in-law, afflicts or scolds by word of mouth, know him as an outcast. Yo atham puchito santo, anatha manusasati, patechanena manteti, tam jana vasalo iti. Who, when questioned about moral good, advises on what is harmful, gives obscure advice, know him as an outcast. Yo katva papakam kammam, mamam janati ichhati, yo patichanna kammanto, tam jana vasalo iti. Who, having done an evil deed, desires, let me be not known. Who is of concealed action, know him as an outcast. Yo ve parakulam gantva, bhutvan suchi bhojanam, agatam na patipujeti, tam jana vasalo iti. Who, having gone to another's house and eaten clean food, does not return the favor to his host, know him as an outcast. Yo brahmanam va samanam va anyam vapi vanibhakam musa vadena vancheti tam jana vasalo iti. Who, a Brahman or a recluse or any other wayfarer, deceives with falsehood, know him as an outcast. Yo brahmanam va samanam va bhatta kale upathite roseti vacha na cha deti tam jana vasalo iti. Who, a Brahman or a recluse when mealtime is at hand, scolds in bad language and does not give food, know him as an outcast. Asatam yodha pabruti, mohena paliguntito, kinchikham nijigimsano, tam jana vasalo iti. Who speaks what is not genuine, encircled with infatuation, covets even a small thing, know him as an outcast. Yo chattanam samukkamse param cha mavajanati nihino sena manena tam jana vasalo iti. Who praises his own self, despises others, and degraded because of his pride, know him as an outcast. Rosako Kadaryo cha papicho machari sato ahiriko anotapi tam jana vasalo iti. Angry and stingy, desirous of evil, avaricious, crafty, shameless, unscrupulous. Know him as an outcast. Yo buddham paribhasati athva tas savakam paribhajam gahatham va tam jana vasalo iti. Who reviles the Buddha or else his disciple, a wanderer or a householder, know him as an outcast. Yo ve anaraha santo arham pati janati choro sa brahma ke loke esakho vasala dhamo ete kho vasala vutta maya vo ye pakasita. Who indeed, without being a worthy one, that is an arahant, professes to be a worthy one. He is the thief in the world, including the Brahmas. He indeed is the worst of outcasts. These indeed have been spoken as outcasts. By me have they been declared to you. Na jacha vasalo hoti, na jacha hoti brahmano. Kamana vasalo hoti, kamana hoti brahmano. By birth is one not an outcast. By birth is one not a Brahman. By action is one an outcast. By action is one a Brahman. ये बहुत ही फेमस वर्स है. तद मिनापि विजानाथ यथा मेदम निदर्शनम चंडाल पुत्तो सुपाको मातंगो इति विसुतो. Know that by this, just as this example is given by me, Sopak, the son of an outcast, was well known as Matang. So yasam paramam pato matango yam sudulabham aganchum tasupattanam khatya brahmana bahu. He reached the highest fame, this Matang, that fame which was very rare. Came to him for attention the Khatyas, that is royalty, and Brahmanas many. So Devayan Maruya, Virajam so Mahapatham, Kamaragam Virajetva, Brahma Loku Pago Ahu. He, ascending the divine chariot, he, ascending that which is free from passion, the great path, giving up desire and passion, went to the world of the Brahmas. Na nam jati nivaresi, Brahma loku papattiya, ajhayak kule jata, Brahmana manta bandhuno, techa papesu kammesu, abhinha mupa disare, ditheva dhamme garaya, samparaye cha dugatim, na te jati nivareti, dugacha garahayava. Although born into a family of scholars of the Brahmanic texts, Brahmins, the relatives of mantras, that is incantations, they in evil action are constantly seen in this world itself as blameworthy. Beyond this world, they attain a suffering state. Birth does not hinder them from going to a suffering state or blame. What is the Buddha's message in the Vasala Sutta? Na jacha vasalo hoti, na jacha hoti brahmano. Kamana vasalo hoti, kamana hoti brahmano. By birth is one not an outcast. By birth is one not a Brahman. By action is one an outcast. By action is one a Brahman. So this is the Buddha's message in the Vasala Sutta. Evam buddhe agik bhardvajo brahmano bhagavantam etad vocha. फिर भगवान बुद्ध से इस प्रकार कहा, अभिकंतम भो गौतम, अभिकंतम भो गौतम, से यथापि भो गौतम, निकुज्जितम व उकुज्जेय, पटिच्छनम व विवरेय, मुझस्व मगम आचिखेय, अंधकारे व तेलपजोतम धारेय चक्षुमंतो रूपानि दक्षिणतीति एवमेवं भूता गौतमेन अनेक पर्यायेन धम्मोपकासितो एसाहं भवन्तं गौतमं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मञ्च भिक्षु संघञ्च उपासकं मम भवं गौतम धारयतु अज्जतज्ञे पानुपेतं शरणं गतन्ति. When it was said thus, the Brahmin Agikabhardwaj spoke to the Lord thus, Excellent, O Venerable Gautam, excellent, O Venerable Gautam, just as, O Venerable Gautam, just as a vessel turned upside down is turned up, or what is closed is made to open, or just as showing the way to one who has lost his way, or as one who holds an oil lamp in the dark with the thought, let those who have eyes see forms. In similar manner, by the Venerable Gautam in various ways, the Dhamma has been declared. That I take refuge in the Venerable Gautama, the Dhamma and the multitude of monks. May the Venerable Gautama accept me, that is, admit me, as a lay devotee who has taken refuge from today till the end of my life. Some notes on the Vasala Sutta. The abusive terms जो ब्राह्मण ने यूज की गई थी और उसके बाद जो रिस्पेक्टफुल एड्रेस था, this needs a word of explanation. Brahman had just prepared his offering to the great Brahma. अग्निदेव को आहुति दे रहे थे भगवान ब्रह्मा को प्रसन्न करने के लिए. His God, when his eyes fell on Buddha, to the Brahman the sight of a saman, एक बौद्ध धर्म का आदमी, एक saman, a shaven headed recluse, उसके लिए एक अनलकी साइन, बदशगुन था. Hence he burst into angry words. अब जो भी कुशल काम हम करते हैं, जो भी मंगल कार्य करते हैं, अपने परिवार के लिए, अपने लिए करते हैं. तो जब उसने एक बौद्ध धर्म के भगवान बुद्ध को देखा तो वो बहुत क्रोध में आ गया कि ये तो बहुत बदशुगनी होगी, उसकी अग्निदेव की पूजा तो बेकार चली जाएगी. Hence he burst into angry words. The Buddha, however, was unruffled and spoke to him quietly in words of soft cadence. The Brahman apparently was ashamed, उसको बहुत शर्म आई, and repenting of his folly, addressed the Buddha courteously. It is interesting to note the Buddha's stress on anger and hatred in his very first stanza. Dvijam, ये birds के लिए, पक्षियों के लिए कहा गया है. Twice born is a reference to birds. चिड़ियों के लिए कहा जाता है कि वो 2 बार जन्म लेती हैं. एक बार अंडा जन्म लेता है और उसके बाद अंडे से निकलती है. Hence, they first come out as an egg, and when hatched, a complete bird is born. What is the conclusion of the Vasala Sutta? Excellent, O Venerable Gautam, excellent, O Venerable Gautam. Just as, O Venerable Gautam, a man were to set upright what had been overturned, or what is closed is opened, or were to show the way to one who has lost his way, or as one who holds an oil lamp in the dark, so that those with eyes may see things. In similar manner, by the Venerable Gautam, in various ways, the Dhamma has been declared. I take refuge in the Venerable Gautama, the Dhamma and the Sangha. May the Venerable Gautama accept me as a lay devotee who has taken refuge from today onwards till the end of my life. At the time of the Lord Gautam Buddha during the 6th and 5th century BC, caste system बहुत strong था और well established था Indian society में. 4 main castes थी, priests, warriors, traders and laborers, जिसमें priests या Brahmins highest caste मानी जाती थी. The Buddha vehemently opposed the caste system and disapproved the inequality in the society created by the caste system. Vasala Sutta is a classical example of the Buddha's attempt to show that one's caste becomes higher or lower, not through one's birth, but through one's actions. Throughout the ministry of 45 years, from enlightenment to passing away at the age of 80, Gautam Buddha, through great compassion, traveled far and wide, teaching the path out of human suffering to a diverse range of people from all walks of life. Out of the innumerable qualities of the Buddha, one was Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarathi, जिसका मीनिंग है incomparable training or trainer of men to be tamed through wisdom, compassion, and preaching. These are the conclusions that we can draw from the Vasala Sutta. In this discourse, the Buddha walks to the house of Agik Bharadwaj Brahman, who was an ardent follower of the god of fire during the time of an offering to his god. The Brahmin, in extreme anger, verbally abuses the Buddha and tries to chase the Buddha away. But the Buddha, in a calm manner, preaches to him so that he hears the Buddha's teaching and takes refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Just a moment. According to the Buddha, a Brahmin is one who has removed kiles, that means defilements, of lobha, dosa, and moha. This teaching method of the Buddha is called Ariyavohara, noble teaching. This was the Vatala Sutta, the discourse on the outcast. Etena Sachavajena Sothite Hotu Sabada. By the firm determination of this truth, may you and I be well. Etena Sachavajena Sabba Rogo Vinasatu. By the firm determination of this truth, may you and I be healthy. Etena Sachavajena Hotu Te or Me Jayamangalam. By the firm determination of this truth, may joyous victory be yours and mine. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Today is the day for Sutta study. The next Sutta that we are going to do is Parabhav Sutta. This is also very important. मंगल सूत्र और पराभाव सूत्र का एक गहरा कनेक्शन है. जो हम स्टडी करेंगे. So the next topic is Parabhav Sutta, जिसका मीनिंग है द कॉजेज ऑफ डाउनफॉल इन लाइफ. हमने मंगल सूत्र किया कि लाइफ में ऑस्पिशियसनेस कैसे लाएं. 38 मंगल्स हमको बताए गए थे. उसी के साथ ये मंगल लाना और डाउनफॉल यानी कि पतन को रोकना, ये दोनों इंटरकनेक्टेड है. What does the word Parabhav mean in Pali? The Pali word Parabhav means downfall, decline, or deterioration. In this discourse, the Buddha has described the conditions which would lead to downfall or decline in the social, moral, and spiritual aspects of an individual. This discourse consists of 25 verses. Introduction. The discourse on downfall is included in the collection of the minor discourses of the Lord Gautam Buddha. 3 months following the Buddha's passing away, Parinibbana, in 483 BC, a Buddhist council was held, attended by 500 enlightened Arahatmans. The purpose of the Buddhist council was to collect and agree on the authenticity of the teaching delivered by the Buddha during the ministry of 45 years. Introduction. All of the discourses delivered by the Buddha were presented at the Buddhist Council by Arahant Anand, who was the Buddha's chief attendant, which were divided into 5 collections. 1. Collection of long discourses, Digha Nikaya. 2. Collection of middle-length discourses, Majjhima Nikaya. 3. Collection of connected discourses, Samyutta Nikaya. 4. Collection of numerical discourses, Anguttar Nikaya. 5. Collection of minor discourses, Khuddaka Nikaya. The collection of minor discourses consists of 15 books. The 5th book, named Sutta Nipata, contains the Buddha's discourses that were presented mainly in verse form, though there are a few in mixed prose and verse. It contains several discourses such as the Great Discourse on Blessings, Mahamangal Sutta, the Jewel Discourse, Ratana Sutta, and the Discourse on Loving Kindness, Karaniya Metta Sutta, that are widely known and popular in the Theravada Buddhist countries. The Discourse on Downfall, जिसे परभाव सूत्र कहते हैं, consisting of 25 verses, is the 6th discourse in the book of Sutta Nipata. It is also a popular discourse among the Buddhists belonging to the Theravada Buddhist tradition. Along with the 3 other discourses mentioned above, it is one of the 24 discourses contained in the Book of Protection, जिसे परित कहते हैं, which is kept in most houses in the Theravada Buddhist countries and chanted on a regular basis, expecting to receive protection from the Buddha's discourses. Background to the Parabhav Sutta. During the ministry of 45 years, the Buddha had allocated the middle period of each night to receive deities or devas from different heavenly worlds, when it was a quiet time with most of the others at the monastery asleep. They would visit the Buddha to listen to Buddha's teaching or to clarify their doubts on spiritual matters by asking questions. It is recorded in the Buddhist literature that innumerable numbers of heavenly beings had attained different stages of the Buddhist spiritual path of liberation by listening to the Buddha's teaching. The Great Discourse on the Blessings, Mahamangal Sutta, was delivered by the Buddha to a deity who had visited the Buddha asking about the blessings or auspicious signs that make one's life happy and prosperous. In that discourse, the Buddha described 38 highest blessings, Eta Mangalam Uttamam, that would lead to the success and happiness in this life and future life. It is said that when the deities in the heavenly world listened and discussed the 38 conditions that make one's life happy and prosperous, they became inquisitive to know what causes or conditions would lead to one's downfall. So during the next night, a deity has visited the Buddha again, wanting to know the conditions that may lead to one's downfall. The Pali word Parabhav, which means downfall, decline, or deterioration. In this discourse, the Buddha has described the conditions which would lead to downfall or decline in the social, moral, and spiritual aspects of an individual. The discourse consists of 25 verses. 12 verses are the request from the deity to the Buddha asking for the causes of downfall, while each of those 12 verses is followed by a verse by the Buddha describing the different causes of one's downfall. Contents of the Parabhav Sutta. Evam me sutam ekam samayam. Bhagava savatiyam viharati jetavane anatapindikas arame. Athko anyatara devta abhikantaya rattiya abhikanta varna kevala kappam jetavanam obha setva yena bhagava tenupasankami upasankamitva bhagavantam abhivadetva ekamantam athasi ekamantam thita khosa devata bhagavantam gathaya ajbhasi. Thus have I heard on one occasion, just a moment, the Blessed One was dwelling at the monastery of Anathapindik in Jeta's grove near Savatthi. When the night was fast spent, a certain deity whose surpassing splendor illuminated the entire Jeta grove came to the presence of the Blessed One and drawing near, respectfully saluted the Lord and stood to one side. Standing thus, he addressed the Blessed One in verse. When the sutta was delivered, the Buddha was staying at the Jetwan monastery in Savatthi, which was built and donated to the Buddha by Anathapindik, the Buddha's chief benefactor. It was named Jetavan as the land on which it was built was bought from Prince Jeta. All the discourses of the Buddha contained in the 5 collections were narrated from his memory by Arahant Anand at the first Buddhist council. Each discourse was begun by him with the same phrase found at the beginning of this sutta too, Evam me sutta, meaning, thus have I heard. Verse 1. इसका पीडीएफ हमने ग्रुप में डाल दिया है, आप पाली वर्जन स्वयं पढ़ लीजिएगा. Having come here with our questions to the Exalted One, we ask thee, O Gautama, about man's decline. Pray, tell us the cause of downfall. Easily known is the progressive one, easily known he who declines. He who loves Dhamma progresses, he who is averse to it declines. The Buddha's teaching as a whole is known as the Dhamma. However, here it refers to the virtuous behavior by the avoidance of the 10 unwholesome actions. The 10 unwholesome actions consist of 3 bodily actions of killing any living beings, stealing and sexual misconduct, 4 verbal actions of false speech, slanderous speech, harsh speech, and idle chattering, and 3 mental actions of covetousness or greed, ill will, and wrong view. Some Buddhist scholars have also suggested that Dhamma may mean wholesome qualities, such as honesty, fairness, truth, virtue, justice, goodness, and righteousness. Thus much do we see. This is the first cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the second cause. The wicked are dear to him. With the virtuous he finds no delight. He prefers the creed of the wicked. This is the cause of one's downfall. The wicked are the people who engage in unwholesome behavior and lack any moral discipline. They do not observe any precepts of morality and are heedless of any spiritual practice. They possess wrong views, miccha vritti, and do not take refuge in the triple gem of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Those who associate with them may in time be influenced by their unhealthy and immoral behavior and gradually move away from the virtuous and righteous people. In the Papamitta Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, collection of the Buddha's numerical discourses, it is stated that the Buddha sees no other thing that is so much responsible for the decline of wholesome qualities and arising of unwholesome qualities in a person as bad friendship. Thus much do we see. This is the second cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the third cause. Being fond of sleep, fond of company, indolent, lazy, and irritable, this is cause of one's downfall. Those who are fond of sleeping rather than doing something useful and engage in socializing with similar ones to waste their time in idle chatter are bound for decline. They are lazy, lethargic, and will not make any effort to do something useful and worthwhile. Instead, they will find any simple excuse to avoid engaging in any useful activity. They get angry easily and have no compassion or kindness towards the others. Thus much do we see. This is the third cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the fourth cause. Though being well-to-do, not to support father and mother who are old and past their youth. This is the cause of one's downfall. Parents bring a child to this world and attend to the needs of the child in an unselfish way with unconditional love. They sacrifice their own needs for the welfare of the child and may even be prepared to sacrifice their life for the sake of their child. When they are old, frail, and ill, it should be the duty of the children to help, support, and look after them. In the Mahamangal Sutta, the Buddha stated that caring and looking after one's parents is one's great blessing. In the Sigalovad Sutta of the Digha Nikaya, collection of the Buddha's long discourses, the Buddha has stated 5 duties of a householder towards their mother and father. और ये 5 duties हैं: support the parents, do their work, keep the family tradition, make oneself worthy of inheritance, and offer alms in their honor after their death. When one neglects this duty, even when one has the means to do so, would naturally lead to one's downfall. Thus much do we see. This is the 4th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 5th cause. To deceive by force a Brahmin or ascetic or any other mendicant, this is the cause of one's downfall. Ascetics and holy persons are those who lead a spiritual life और जिनमें qualities होती हैं such as virtuous behavior, honesty, humility, or developed mind. They have left the domestic life and depend on others for the requisites of living. If someone through dishonesty and falsehood agree or promise to provide their needs in terms of food, clothes, accommodation, and medicine, and then do not fulfill the promise, they become helpless. A mendicant is someone who survives on food donated by others. Thus much do we see. This is the 5th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 6th cause. To have much wealth and ample gold and food, but to enjoy one's luxuries alone, this is the cause of one's downfall. If someone who is rich and in possession of properties, money, and other assets keeps them for his own use and enjoyment without sharing them with others, it is a cause for one's decline. Others may include his own family members, relatives, friends, holy persons, and any others in need. The significance of the qualities of charity, chaga, and sharing what one has with others seems to be implicit here. Thus much do we see. This is the 6th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 7th cause. To be proud of birth or wealth or clan and to despise one's own kinsmen. This is the cause of one's downfall. Conceit or pride due to one's birth, wealth, clan, and any other factors such as intelligence, skills, strength, beauty, and power, and use them to look down on others, including one's own relatives and friends, will lead to one's decline. In the Discourse on Loving Kindness, Karaniya Metta Sutta, the Buddha stated that not being arrogant, anatimani, is a quality that will lead to one's social and spiritual welfare. Thus much do we see. This is the 7th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 8th cause. To be a womanizer, a drunkard, a gambler, and to squander all one earns. This is a cause of one's downfall. Here, the Buddha has stated 3 behaviors that will result in one's decline, not only financially, but also morally, socially, and spiritually. One who gets addicted to seeking sensual pleasures and sexual activities, alcohol, and gambling will resort to any other immoral activities as well to fulfill one's addictions. In addition to financial destruction, these behaviors can also result in broken families. Serious health problems, including death, rejection by the society, and involvement with the law. Abstaining from consumption of alcohol and sexual misconduct are 2 of the 5 precepts of morality. Panchashil ka bhag hai in Buddhist practice. And it is said that one who consumes alcohol is also capable of breaking the other 4 precepts of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and telling lies. Thus much do we see. This is the 8th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 9th cause. not to be contented with one's own wife and to be seen with prostitutes and wives of others. This is the cause of one's downfall. Commitment to a single partner in marriage is one of the most significant factors that strengthens the family and the society in general. Sexual relationships with prostitutes or other married women will result in broken families, hatred and violence, serious health problems, and social rejection. Thus much do we see. This is the 9th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 10th cause. Being past one's youth to take a young wife and to be unable to sleep for jealousy of her. This is the cause of one's downfall. Negative and destructive consequences of a high discrepancy in the ages between two partners within a marriage are emphasized here. An older man who marries a much younger woman is always anxious and worried that she will find a younger man when she is not within his sight. He will develop jealousy and neglect his other duties to keep an eye on her whereabouts. He may make unjustified accusations against her and even resort to violence against her, and any men that he suspects may be involved with her. Thus much do we see. This is the 10th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 11th cause. To place in authority a woman given to drink and squandering, or a man of a like behavior. This is the cause of one's downfall. To place a woman or a man who is addicted to alcohol and waste money in a position of responsibility is bound to lead to downfall and destruction. Their deranged mental state will not be conducive to make responsible decisions, and they will resort to any means of fulfilling their addiction at the expense of anything else. Some Buddhist scholars have suggested that the Buddha in this verse may have referred to the destruction of the family or other group rather than the downfall of an individual. Thus much do we see. This is the 11th cause of one's downfall. Pray, O Blessed One, tell us the 12th cause. To be of noble birth, with vast ambition and of slender means, and to crave for rulership, this is a cause of one's downfall. If a man born into a family of the ruling class or an influential family of a higher social class, but with few means, has great and unrealistic ambitions to become the ruler of a country or a statesman, it will result in downfall. Again, some Buddhist scholars have commented that here, the Buddha may have referred to the downfall and deterioration of a country or a society when it is in charge of someone with those negative qualities. Knowing well these causes of downfall in the world, the noble sage, endowed with insight, shares a happy reign. A person with wisdom, who is aware of these doors of decline and downfall, will make a determination to close them, which will open the noble way to benefit from success and happiness in this world and beyond, as well as spiritual progress. The doors of downfall or decline that the Buddha has described in this sutta, either individually or collectively, will lead an individual not only to financial, social, and moral downfall, but they would also exclude the person from the spiritual journey towards liberation. When this sutta and the Mahamangal Sutta, the discourse on great blessings, are considered together, they provide the groundwork that we need to act upon during our spiritual journey. Firstly, we need to avoid and shut the doors of downfall, and then develop the 38 conditions that the Buddha described as great blessings, not only for the success and happiness in this world and beyond, but for spiritual success as well. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let me return to Zoom. साधु साधु साधु। तो आज हमने दो सूत्रस को स्टडी किया है। Parabhav Sutta and Vasala Sutta. ये important suttas में से है जिनका संगायन या जिनकी chanting अधिकतर की जाती है. Bhante Sumit is not with us tonight, I think. So I think we should start closing today's program. Please keep your hands together and Bhante ji, are you जी आप कुछ पूछना चाहते हैं?
हाँ, एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है.
हाँ, yes, please पूछिए.
जैसे अभी बात किया गया कि एक का जो मतलब बाढ़ का जो दो बार जन्म लेते हैं, तो उसका बारे में थोड़ा बताएंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा.
अच्छा, ये टाइप्स ऑफ बर्थ हैं बुद्धिज्म में. द्विजम ये बर्ड्स के लिए, चिड़ियों के लिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि पहले तो अंडा होता है, तो एक जन्म ये हो गया, और फिर अंडे में से चिड़िया निकलती है, तो ये दूसरा जन्म है. जब हम 31 प्लेन्स ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस करेंगे तो ये डिफरेंट अनेक प्रकार के जो जन्म है बौद्ध धर्म में, इनकी बात भी करेंगे. तो इसको द्विजम कहते हैं, पक्षियों के लिए कहते हैं.
क्या इसको हम लोग लाइफ में जैसे मान लीजिए जब तक हम लोग का कुछ जानकारी नहीं मिलता है, जैसे एक का अंदर में क्या होता है, एक का अंदर में जैसे वो मतलब वाटर टाइप का चीज रहता है, मतलब मेरा माइंड में ये चल रहा है, जैसे वाटर टाइप का चीज रहता है, तब तक हमारा क्या है, ज्ञान कंप्लीट नहीं होता है. देन जब बाढ़ वहां से निकलता है, मतलब हमारा ज्ञान जब थोड़ा एलिमेंट का तरफ जा रहा है, मतलब हम लोग थोड़ा उसका कवर से बाहर निकल गए, तो ये सेकंड जन्म में सोच रहा हूँ, ये हो सकता है क्या मैम?
हाँ, हो सकता है. ये तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग मेटाफोरिकल बात है. अच्छी एक्सप्लेनेशन है. कि आपने किसी बुद्धिस्ट किताब में पढ़ा था इसको?
नहीं, जस्ट अभी बाद में आप जब बोला जस्ट माइंड में आ गया.
हाँ, नहीं, क्यों नहीं, इस तरीके से हम अप्लाई करते हैं. देखिए, बौद्ध धर्म के हम सिद्धांत पढ़ते हैं, हम सुध पढ़ते हैं, तो इनको अपने जीवन में इनको अप्लाई करना होता है. तो अप्लाई करने के लिए ये बहुत अच्छा ख्याल है. साधुवाद है. अब समाप्त करते हैं. पुण्यानुमोदना से स्टार्टिंग करेंगे. इदम नो न्यातिनम होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो. इदम नो न्यातिनम होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो. इदम नो न्यातिनम होतु सुखिता होन्तु न्यातयो. एतावता च अम्हेहि संपदं पुण्य संपदं सब्बे देवा अनुमोदन्तु सब संपत्ति सिद्धिया. एतावता च अम्हेहि संपदं पुण्य संपदं सब्बे सत्ता अनुमोदन्तु सब संपत्ति सिद्धिया. आकाशठा च भूमठा देवा नागा महेद्दिका पुण्यं तम अनुमोदित्वा चिरं रक्षन्तु शासनम्. आकाशठा च भूमठा देवा नागा महेद्दिका पुण्यं तम अनुमोदित्वा चिरं रक्षन्तु देशनम्. आकाशठा च भूमठा देवा नागा महेद्दिका पुण्यं तम अनुमोदित्वा चिरं रक्षन्तु मम परम्. देवो वसतु कालेन सस्य संपत्ति हेतु च फीतो भवतु लोको च राजा भवतु धम्मिको. और अंत में वेनरेबल भंते सुमित जी, आदरणीय भंते सुमित को स्मरण करके आयाचना करते हैं. कायेन वाचा चित्तेन पमादेन मया कतम अचयम खम में भंते भूरि पन्य तथागत. साधु साधु साधु. अगर कोई प्रश्न हो तो आप ईमेल करके भंते सुमित को एड्रेस कर सकते हैं, अपने प्रश्न भेज सकते हैं. So with this we end today's lecture of Fundamentals of Buddhism, and we hope to see you on Wednesday again at the same time. Dhammarati to all of you. We are closing the Zoom meeting now.